Okay, this is part one of a video to help you get started with assignment 5, the SQL injection assignment. Things have changed a little bit this semester in that we're using SQLi to do all of our attacks. So this is a preference to the second part of this video where we're doing the SQL injection on the Windows machine. But everything is really the same other than just the setup in SQLi and the URL that you are attacking. So here I am logged into SQLi as the root user. I've opened the ISIN browser, and again, just as a reminder, I don't have Burp Suite running, so I want to make sure I go to Advanced Network and Settings and set it to No Proxy, as otherwise IceWeasel is going to try to send all traffic to the Burp Suite software that runs at port 8080, and since Burp Suite's not running, you're going to get some proxy errors, some errors in your web browser. So just turn off that proxy for this assignment. We're not going to be using Burp Suite Proxy Interceptor. So in the assignment, again, the URLs have changed slightly. So the URL that we're going to be going to is 192.168.0.1/ISIHack/productlist.axpx. That is the IP address for our 312ville server that has a web application on it. And really the rest of the assignment, should be the same. And just you can copy and paste some of the starter SQL injection that I'm providing to you within the document over here into SQLi. If you are uncomfortable with SQL selects and SQL unions, I can't stress enough that you should review that material thoroughly before you do the SQL injection attack. Trying to do this assignment through trial and error is definitely, part of what you will be doing, okay, because you need to craft the input. But if you understand SQL, the basics of SQL, the select statement, the union statement, the insert statement, this assignment is much, much, much easier because the application that we're attacking here is extremely vulnerable to SQL injection. The SQL that I give you in the document, in the assignment document itself, can really simply be modified for this assignment, especially the first part of it where we use the union. You really just need to replace the column names in the select statement with different column names, and the table in the from clause, which is in the example information schema.columns, that's the table name. It's kind of a odd looking table name because it's two-part, but maybe it's not odd to you if you're kind of up to speed on schemas and tables. But anyway, when you need to put the correct table in there that corresponds with the columns that you're selecting. Okay, so you will replace information schema.columns with a different table, and you'll replace the columns in the select statement with columns that correspond to that table. All right, and then really, if you're careful about that, that piece should be pretty straightforward. There's a little more work involved with the insert statement, but I think you'll get that. And keep in mind that semicolons are used to separate SQL statements. So you can run two SQL statements at the same time, kind of in the same batch or the same submission, if you will, if they're separated by semicolons. So that's a pretty strong hint for that piece. Okay, be patient with yourself. Enjoy this assignment. I really want you to get an appreciation for how a SQL injection attack works, how an attacker would go about doing a SQL injection attack, and then certainly analyze the remediations and countermeasures to prevent SQL injection. So again, give yourself some time, be patient, enjoy, make sure that you have some foundational SQL knowledge before you do this. Okay, in this video I'm going to help you get started with the SQL injection assignment and demonstrate some of the things that I'm describing within the assignment document. So we're going to use this URL right here, and first thing I ask you to do is just kind of familiarize yourself with the workings of this web page itself. So what you can do here, if you go to the URL that's provided, is you can search for products based on a partial description. So if we put in the word bat, we should get a few, and then hit enter or click search. We have our list filtered down to just those items. Clear that back out again and hit search. We get all the items within this page. So what the assignment is going to do is it's going to take this page and it's going to analyze a SQL injection attack on the page where we're going to, in this text box, input some crafted SQL text that is going to trick the web application into displaying information within this page that's not just the product description and price, but some sensitive user information that's in a different table. Well, the first thing that we do to start this attack, and I provide this in the document, is we're going to look at the metadata in the database. Okay, so we'll take this statement right here, and what this statement does is if it's successful, it's going to select table names, column names from the information schema.columns. Now this isn't a database class per se, but database is a big piece of application architecture, and in order to do a SQL injection attack, beyond just being a script kiddie, you need to understand a little bit of SQL, and I provided some modules this week to help along, and there was some examples in your book as well. But what this SQL statement essentially does is it gives us information about the tables and columns in the current database, and then we can use that information to craft additional SQL input so that we can get information from the user table, from other tables. Okay, so this statement will tell us information about other tables in the database if it's successful. So I'm going to copy that over here. Okay, and I mentioned a couple things. You're going to want to retype the dashes at the end and retype this single quote at the beginning. Sometimes that causes problems in specific browsers. And then let's go ahead and launch that. And now we see that we get the product information like we were before, but because we're doing a SQL union, we're essentially saying go ahead and execute the query against the database that you normally would, and also execute a query that gets us all the tables and columns that exist within this database. Okay, so this leftmost column are the table names, and then the second column is the column in each table. So the cart table has the price column, a product ID column, a quantity, and a session ID column. And then you'll notice there's a third column or a third table column here, and it's blank. Well, that's because we used a placeholder in our SQL statement, column name, table name, and then we use null as a placeholder. Okay, one of the rules of a union is that the number of columns in the first SQL statement has to be the same as the number of columns in the second SQL statement. The first SQL statement is getting product ID, description, and price, 3 columns. This crafted input also needs to retrieve 3 columns, table name, column name, and null. Again, null just being a placeholder. Okay, so use this information now to craft further input here to select information from one or more of these tables. Okay, you can use a union, perhaps select these 3 columns from the cart table. Take this statement that I've provided in the document here as a starting point. Okay, you're always going to have this quote, union, select, but your column names, such as table name, column name, and null, are going to change based on the table that you include in the from clause. And you're always going to want these 2 comment characters at the end. Alright, so I hope that helps you further get started with the assignment, and I hope you enjoy the assignment.